Yeah, happy evening. Welcome to Mahipati Talks. As we know that because of this COVID time, we have been here for the past 3 months. If I'm right, no, from March, no, colleges have stopped, the schools have stopped, but learning has never stopped, and sharing knowledge has never been stopped. And I'm glad that most of the resource persons have coming forward to share their knowledge on this platform related to language skills, personality development, life skills, and life transformation skills. I'm glad that no more the resource persons they are making their time and to make this society a better society. And today we are glad that the corporate trainer Rajesh Murthy sir has accepted to deliver a session, which is very important and the need of the hour. The most important thing is that he has been into training for the past 2 decades. It's my privilege to introduce the man behind the title which is going to deliver today. Important title. The, now I introduce Rajesh Murthy. He's a corporate trainer and a business consultant having more than 21 years of real-time industry experience. He works with clients to support their mission, vision, and propel their employees and organization performance through training and strategy support. Rajesh Murthy is qualified with a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering from the Bangalore University, India, and a post-graduation in human resources and quality management. He is a corporate trainer and a strategist of international repute. His real-time experience in the areas of self-help, behavior therapy, and strategic organizational growth management is a unique value proposition he offers. His workshops invoke just to excel and inspire individuals to give their best. The world-class content and high-quality delivery of the training programs he conducts is unique and assures 100%, I repeat, 100% return on investment for the clients. He founded the Lead Institute of Personal Development, Bangalore, India in 1997, a leadership consulting and coaching firm that focus on making organizations and individuals world class. The company also has a strong presence in Hyderabad, India since the year 1999. The company is now Rajesh Murthy Training Systems. His ever increasing corporate clientele votes for the customer centric enterprise and activities. The solutions are no same for all. We know that every individual is unique. We tailor design solutions to match the objectivity of each client and has been successful at it. He works with client organization through interactions from the top of from the top level to derive maximum strategy for organizational growth. His corporate trainings vertical supports with training interactions for the junior, middle, and senior layers of the organization in functional and personal skills. He has made a lot of training programs and he coaches many people. He has personally coached thousands of senior executives and professional and strategic, organizational, and leadership across functional domains. He also has his unique distinction of having addressed more than 2.5 million people from varied walks of life since 1997 through his public and in-house programs. It's a proud privilege for all of us that to have Rajesh Murthy, the corporate trainer, to accept and deliver a session which is need of the hour every organization is looking for during these COVID times. The title of the session is The Little Known Secrets to Extraordinary Productivity. I invite Rajesh Murthy to deliver the session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Such an honor to be here on this stage today. In fact, Dr. Mahipati also is a very accomplished gentleman. He is also an author and a coach, and he has been in this field for a very long time now. And my sincere, appreciations to Dr. Mahipati Garu also. And today we have a very, very interesting session. And of course, this is the first time that we are on this particular platform with Dr. Mahipati here, despite the fact that we've been there in this field for a very long time now. Now, some of you probably are wondering that we are a couple of people on Zoom, but the maximum number of people who are actually watching this is on YouTube, because only a handful of them know that the link is also available on Zoom. So I would also acknowledge and appreciate all of you who are on live on YouTube, and also the participants who are there on Zoom on this session. So what a wonderful topic, and the time cannot be better to talk about productivity than at this time where things are uncertain and there is uncertainty everywhere. But then if you are like me, what you can do is you can bring in certainty in this uncertainty. Why? How? By making sure that what you do is in your control. So today we have a very beautiful session on the little known secrets to productivity. Now Galileo, the inventor of telescope, he said something beautiful, and I love what he said. He said, you can never teach a man anything new. You can only bring it to his awareness what he already knows. So whatever we are going to talk today, you already know. Now, when you already know what we are going to say today, then why this session now? So that we bring it to we bring it to your awareness, so that we systematize the process and make sure that that is in the front burner, or it is in the front of your mind. That's exactly the purpose of this session today. And why did I say little known? Because if it is well known, we would have probably practiced all these things and put these things in practice day in and day out. The reason we don't practice this because it is not well known or in the front of the mind. So what we will do now is I'll do a small little screen sharing, though that is not the way in which we do our regular training programs. The regular training programs, what we have happen on a different scale. If you look at European speakers, and if you look at all the other countries, give me a moment. Yeah. All these countries, Western countries, the European countries, etc., these people have done away with the presentation, the PPT and all those things. Now they use dramatization, body language, and their own persuasion skills to drive a point or to, hammer a point. Now, but since then we are an audience that is scattered across this live program, we cannot do that right now because I'm not physically speaking to you. Some of you probably might be in the impression that this is an online program. This is not an online program. It's a live program where the speaker is speaking live. So let's get ahead with this program, go ahead with this program. Now, the little known secrets to extraordinary productivity. I didn't say productivity, but extraordinary productivity. And the little word extra, that makes all the difference. Now let's go ahead. Now, before I probably say something to my audience who is there this evening, my first and foremost, acknowledgement, gratitude, and sincere thanks to each one of you who has made the book Uncomplicate the #1 Amazon bestseller, or the Amazon #1 bestseller, and that too in a very short span of time. Now, the work that has gone into this book is probably 2 decades old, because I'm in this field since 22 years. 20 years ago, I thought of embarking on this journey of writing a book. And 20 years later, I was able to write one, probably like Napoleon Hill. I'm not sure how many of you know this book called Think and Grow Rich. It has taken about 20 years for Napoleon Hill to write the classic. But when he wrote that book, Think and Grow Rich, probably that is one of the legendary or reputable book that you can probably take after Dale Carnegie's book, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Anyway, so I would like to appreciate each one of you who has probably ordered this book or who has gone through this book, and all the testimonials and all the fanfare that I have around this book. Now, it's also available on rajeshmurthy.com, also on amazon.com, amazon.in. Let's go ahead. What do we have in this program today? Now, I would like to make a small little disclaimer at the beginning. Conditions apply, or star mark. If you don't produce, you will not be happy. That's a first and foremost takeaway from this program. Anyone who does not produce cannot be happy. Now, I know that I do understand that even I do a lot of programs on stress management, on behavioral therapy, on mind management, on time management. Now, let's get this straight. Most of the stress management problems, most of the health issues comes because of poor time management. And when I say time management in essence does not exist at all. There is nothing called time mastery or time management. Time management is all about managing 3 things. Number 1, your attention. Number 2, your decisions. And number 3 is the choices that you make every single day. And the third one, is energy. So the number 1 thing is your attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. The next one is the kind of decisions that you make. Now, I can decide to read the newspaper from start to bottom today, or I can probably engage in my productive work. I can watch television mindlessly for 8 hours a day, or I can probably engage in the project work that I have to give to my client on Monday morning. So the decisions that you and I make or take shapes our destiny. and our destiny is not very far away. Why? Because life itself is such a small game. So our future is right around the corner, waiting for us to do something about it. The past, in fact, is very far away. But human beings somehow always feel that the past is very close because all the memories are close, and the future is actually very far away or distant away. No, totally wrong. That's a game, that's a gimmick that life plays with you. Your future is right around the corner, and the past is a distant past. Now, some of us vividly know when we got married, vividly know the day the first child was born, the second child was born, all those good things. But if you look back, they're almost a decade or 2 or 3 or 4 decades behind you now. But your future, which you think, because human beings always tell themselves one beautiful lie. And the lie is, my life has not begun at all. My life has not started at all. This is not the life that I should be leading. One day, my real life will start. That day that you're dreaming about has already started. Now, if you can hear the snap, this is life. The second before the snap was not life. The second after the snap is not life. Now, this particular snap, that alone is life. And if you can trap that moment of time in eternity, then life is yours. So what an amazing program that we have because of Dr. Mahipati today. And, I appreciate again each one of you who have consented to walk along with us in this journey for 1 hour. So what do we have? Number one, the productivity paradox. What do you mean by paradox? Now, what you believe to be true probably sometimes is not true. Now, the productivity paradox. The next one is productivity. Productivity is everything. Because when I don't produce, there is no way I can be happy. Because when I go through a guilt trip every night, when I go to bed, I have all the unfinished tasks that are not done. So I put the fan at number 6, take a thick blanket over my head, and then go to sleep. This vicious cycle continues. And before you realize, what happens is several years pass by. And by the time you realize you are 20 or 30 years old from today. Now, I'm not sure if Dr. Mahipati's biodata or my profile that he had with him mentioned this. I'm also a certified nutritionist and a dietitian. I've been in the field of nutrition for about 20 plus years now, 22 years to be precise. Now, there is something called as age-related macular degeneration of the eyes. What do you mean by this? Now, if you take an old television like Dynara or Solitaire or Onida, when you switch the television off, it never used to get off like the way the modern TVs do today. There used to be a line that would come in the middle and then a blip, and then the whole screen would disappear. That's exactly how the window of life, the hourglass that you and I have, also is disappearing every moment. Now, for example, what is meant by age-related macular degeneration of the eyes, or AMD? For example, if I take a 5-year-old child to a park, the child can see a wide spectrum of trees and animals and birds and the whole scenery. If I take a 40-year-old man, or I'm close to 45, 47 now. So if I go there, I will see a shorter spectrum because I need to turn my head to see the next scenery or image. Now, if you take my 80-year-old father, he'll be able to see only a small, spectrum or view or length. Now, why? That is because as we age, it narrows down. Similarly, what is happening is the opportunity window also, the opportunity matrix is also reducing. If you don't do something about it today, and if we complain about the pandemic that is going on and all the other things that are going on in the outside world, our world outside, what you and I are losing every single moment is time. The moment you lose half an hour somewhere, there is no way on this earth you can again reclaim that half an hour or 1 hour that has gone forever. Now, money probably you can make today. That is why I always ask people, time, money, and energy. What do you think is the most important component here out of these three? Time, money, and energy. If you ask me, it is not time and money, it is energy. That is why when you're young, you have time, you have energy, but no money. But as you age, tomorrow when you retire, you have time and money, but you don't have the energy to do what you really love to do. So energy is to be conserved and only used for those important channels that actually make a difference in your life. So productivity is everything. The next one is the pie problem. What do you mean by the pie problem? Let's talk about this. Next one. How do you uncomplicate life? Human beings are master storytellers. We are masters in making what is real into unreal, what is unreal into real, and thereby complicating our lives. But the solutions to most of the important problems in life are extremely simple. And the moment we stop telling stories and we become unreasonable, what is meant by unreasonable? No reasons at all. Life actually begins to come your way. So let's get ahead. Now, I always like this diagram, and I always like to start with this image. This is exactly where you and I are trying to arrive in life so that we will have a balance in life. Number one, for example, money, that is to be well taken care of. That is the first thing. Why? Because all the other pillars don't make any sense if you're not financially secure. But then just riding a BMW or a Mercedes doesn't make the day. Second one is physically where you are. Are you overweight? Are you diabetic? Are you hypertensive? Why? So physically where you are. Next one, emotionally where you are. Are you able to sleep at night? Do you have fights very often? Do you feel guilty? Is there a lot of resentment? Is there a lot of anger that you're holding? Now, next one, and can you let go of that? Emotionally, how balanced are you? Next one, family. Family-wise, how close-knit are you? To your children, are Hrithik Roshan and Shah Rukh Khan the heroes, or the dad and mom? Who do they idolize? So family-wise, where you and I are. Do you have often fights with your family? No. I know we all do, but then how soon do you close those fights or end those fights? Forgiveness is a divine quality. Not everyone forgive. Now, the moment you forgive, you are free. Forgiveness actually ends your suffering. Like Lord Buddha said it so beautifully, not forgiving someone is like, I am drinking poison every day so that one day the other man will die. Now, that's not going to happen. So it hurts us. Next one, socially where you are. Of course, now social is all through the digital media, but then socially, how connected are you? How many people know you? How many do you know? So your network. And the last one, spiritual. What do you mean by spirituality? Spirituality has got nothing to do with any religion. Spirituality means, or spiritual means, understanding the very purpose of who am I? What am I? If God has created me or manufactured me, there must be a larger purpose why I'm here. So how many lives can be better off because I existed on this planet Earth? So that is spiritual, discovering the very purpose of why you've been put here. You and I have been put here on planet Earth. Now, let's move ahead. Now, let's talk about productivity, and let's talk black and white, straight to the heart, candid. The crime that bankrupts men and nations and departments and organizations and company is what? That is turning aside your main purpose, your life's purpose, to serve a job here and there. And people are excited. Like somebody said, the ants are very busy. The whole idea is not to be busy, because even the ants are very busy. The question is, what are you busy about? Now, being busy does not mean being productive. So what happens is, I take up a job that has to be done, an A priority job, a must-do job. And what happens? Something demands my attention. So I trip over this job and then go to the next job. So what happens? I become bankrupt at the end of 20, 30 years. I always like to ask this question. If I'm 20 years and broke, what should I do? Financially broke. What should I do to be 30 years and broke? Anybody? What should I do today so that I'm also 30 years and financially broke? Do nothing. Do the same thing what you and I have been doing now. You will be broke at 30. So if I'm 30 or 40 and I want to be the same way in 50 or 60, what should I do? Don't do anything. Continue doing the same thing that you and I have been doing. We will also be financially and otherwise broke, at 50 or 60. So the whole thing is turning aside one's main purpose to serve a job here and there, and majoring in minor things does not, really help anyone. So that is the number one, I would say, sin in productivity. The next one, anything less than a commitment to the important is also a conscious commitment to the unimportant. Means what? When I am not committing to what is important and not doing the important things of the day. For example, I've got 10 tasks to do today, and doing 8 of those jobs will give me only 20% of the results. Whereas by managing 2 tasks, completing 2 tasks will give me 80% of the results. And guess what most of us are doing? We have the tendency to the temptation to take up the small things of the day first. So what's going to happen? Those 2 important tasks are left behind. At the end of the day, even if you complete the other 8, you cannot happily go to bed. There will be no satisfaction because those 2 important things are left behind, and that, you go on a guilt trip now. So anything that is less than a commitment to important, that is nothing but a conscious commitment to the unimportant. Now, every life, all of us have got greatness within us, and we were destined to be great. That is why somebody said we are all born to win, but we are conditioned to lose by the environment, by the experience, by the world around us. So every life has got the potential to be lived deeply and to make a difference and make an impact. But are we making an impact? That all depends on how we are spending our time. Look at the way Elon Musk of Tesla, look at the way Bill Gates of the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation, or the Gates Foundation. Look at Berkshire Hathaway Holdings Company. What is that man? Warren Buffett. Look at the way they spend their time. So every life, look at Steve Jobs. I idolize Steve Jobs a lot. One of the greatest greatest human beings to have ever walked the surface of this earth. Now, look at the way they spend their time. So every life has got the potential to be lived deeply. Now, the last very important thing is the energy of the mind is the essence of life. Now, what you and I are not our physical energy. All the productivity, I know physical energy is important, but then the energy of the mind is extremely important. That is why you see neurosurgeons make a lot of money. Sometimes, in an unfortunate event, I pray God that nobody probably undergoes this or meets with such a mishap. But if there is an accident and if a victim or if a person is actually brain dead, but the heart is functioning good enough, the first thing they do is they call the family members and they say, please we'll call the organ donors, please donate the body. You know why? Though the heart is beating. Now, the energy of the mind is the essence of life. So it's very important that you and we stand guard at the door of our mind like a sentry with a Sten gun and only allow the good and only good things to come inside. Garbage in, garbage out. We have all heard this. No, that's not true. Garbage in and garbage in forever. No garbage out. How can you get the garbage out? For example, let us say I've got 2 buckets of paint. One of them is a black paint, the other one barrel full of white paint. Now, if I want to make this barrel full of white paint black, all I need to do is probably put 1 drop of black paint in it. Whereas you want to convert or change the black paint barrel into white paint. Now tell me how many tons of white paint you need. That is why we always keep telling you cannot remove negativity. What you can do is whatever negativity that you and I have put inside our brains, all you and I can do is probably dilute it. So that's exactly what we are trying to talk here, so that you dilute and get back on the things that matter the most. The things that matter the most in our lives should not be left to the mercy of things that matter or the things that matter the least. Now let's move ahead. So there is a productivity paradox that you and I, all of us are going through. Number one, you and I are making more decisions today than ever made in the history of mankind. Probably your dad and mom, my dad and mom, your grandparents, etc., your forefathers and mine, they never had the opportunity or the reason to make so many complex decisions that like you and I are probably making today. True? Agreed? Obviously. Now, you and I are making so many decisions. We are multitasking. That is what the 21st century today demands. But then our attention is also under unprecedented, means what? Never before. Our attention is under unprecedented attack. Why? Because the moment you sit down to do something, immediately the telephone beeps, or there is a Facebook notification, or there is a ping or a beep on your mobile phone. Somebody calls you. So immediately what you do is you drop your most important task of the day, and then you probably switch to other tasks, and then to the other task. And finally, you see your main job is left behind at the end of the day. And the last one is most of us are suffering from a personal energy crisis. There is an important point that you and I should know. The important point that you and I should know is that throughout the day, you and I do not have the energy. So our energy always comes in little bursts of time. For example, you get up in the morning, let us say at about 6 o'clock, 8 to 10, you're very active. 10 to 10:30, you are not. Again, 11 o'clock, probably you're active. But then by 12 o'clock, you're down. And then after lunch, probably your clock slows down. And then slowly, again, it builds up in the evening. So what is important to understand is this, that little bursts of energy that you and I have, if those chunks of time are put in unproductive activities, there is nothing that we can do, because you cannot retrieve that time that is lost, that is gone forever in the moments of time. So in the sands of time, let's move ahead. Now, so wonderful. Now this is your pie, means what? This is the 24 hours of the day that you and I have got. So this is how the pie that you and I have got looks like. This is the undisturbed 24 hours of the day that you and I have. Look how beautiful it is to even watch. You can do anything with the time, anything with this particular pie. For example, if I give you a whiteboard, a whiteboard which is absolutely empty, and if I give you a black marker, what do you think you can write on that whiteboard? What do you think is the answer? And the answer is anything. That's exactly how your day starts every single day. Somebody beautifully said, the best thing about the future is that it arrives only one day at a time. Isn't that so beautiful? The best thing about our future is it arrives only one day at a time so that you can do something about it. Now, most people, instead of getting from the day, they just get through the day. Getting by and getting from the day are not two same things. So this is your pie. And all of a sudden, before you realize what happens, your pie gets split. By the time you decide that you and I should probably focus on the most important things of the day today, now your personal thing takes away 50% of your time. And the other part, probably you think now that I should be giving my profession at least 8 to 10 hours of the day because I've got a lot of things to do. You've got a lot of things to do. But by the time you decide that you're going to actually eat the pie or 12 hours of the day, your pie again gets divided. Your personal time, your family time, your profession, and the fourth pie, I left it empty because you and I, both of us, don't even know where that time went. So the remaining 8 hours of the day or the remaining 6 hours of the day, 6th hourly pie, the fourth pie, you don't even know where that pie went. Some of us, I have questioned myself several times this question: where has my day gone? Where did my day go? I only see the moon from the car window. I don't see the rising sun or the setting sun. Where has my day gone? And by the time you realize what has happened, one day is gone. Life has a beautiful way of showing how our future is going to be. That is called as a one-day window. The way in which your day looks right now, that's exactly how your life and my life would turn out to be 20 or 10 years down the line, only a little worse. Why? Because inflation is also going to catch up, and inflation and income don't match. So what is going to happen is, this is how your day, the pie gets divided. Now with a 25% attention, it's going to be difficult. Now, by the time you and I decide that, no, this is not the way, 6 hours is all I have, I'm going to focus more on this pie. And I'm going to make sure I get the best out of my 6th hour. Now what happens is, an important thing comes up, a task comes up, an urgent task comes up, an unforeseen thing comes up because planning was very poor and we are busy putting out fires. So an unseen thing came up. Suddenly somebody says there is a meeting that you should not miss on Zoom. And there is a project work that your child needs and he or she needs your attention. Your wife is angry that you're not spending any time with her, being at home during the pandemic. You're not of any help there, so your time goes there. And then what happens is, you and I are, avid social media people. So we get onto social media and we spend a whooping 13% there. I'm actually very modest here. Most of us spend almost 25, 30, 26%, double the pie only on social media. Please understand, everybody has got a niche. What is meant by niche? That area that you alone are good at. You have mastered one area so good that you can make money. Your niche is what giving you your salary. My niche of my speaking and my ability to bring change in people, that niche is what is giving me money. For example, Dr. Mahipati is also a professor. He's also an author, like me. Now, Dr. Mahipati is actually a lecturer. When he teaches, what happens? He's got a niche, a core area that he specializes in. Now, that is where the money comes in every month, apart from all the other activities and events he does outside. So everyone has got a niche. Now, when you don't have a niche, and when you don't spend your time solving other people's problems who have the same niche that you can solve, like somebody said, the only way to make money in life is by going and solving out other people's problems. There was a comedian who said, if you can solve other people's problems, people will throw money at you. They'll not give you money, they will throw money at you. So what happens is, when I'm not focusing on my niche area, please listen closely, this is extremely powerful. Now, when I'm not focusing on my niche area, I become the niche for somebody else. Probably some of us have not got this. Now, who do you think is the niche for Facebook? Those of us who waste our time are the niche people for Facebook. So Facebook knows that no matter what Rajesh Murthy thumps and screams, no matter how much he explains about the pie problem, no matter which time management expert comes and probably gives them gyan, nothing is going to happen, because people are still going to aimlessly surf and scroll the Facebook and waste their time seeing all the other useless videos that are probably there and all the posts that make no sense and add no value to our life. So Facebook makes money when you don't focus on your niche. They know that all the time wasters in the world, they are our niche from where we make the maximum money. But then if you are smart, you will use that platform called LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram to leverage your niche and you will not watch other people's things. What you will do is you will broadcast and advertise and probably work on your talent, and your niche will be the showcase to the outside world. I hope probably you're getting this. So don't become the bait for somebody's niche. You yourself work on your niche. So the last one is the remaining 13%. Where it goes, God knows. Now, what do you think is the focus here? 12.5 to 13% now focus. My question is this. Now, if you look at Elon Musk of Tesla, or if you probably look at Steve Jobs, of course he's no more. If you look at Satya Nadella of Microsoft, if you look at Google Sundar Pichai, all these people have got a laser focus. Now, one focus and only focus on one thing until the task is done. Now, how are you and I going to compete with somebody who has got 100% focus with our 12.5% focus? Now they're going to run circles around us, and we're going to wonder what happened. Where has my day gone? Where has my life gone? How did I suddenly become 50 and I have not accomplished much in my life as much as I should be accomplishing, or I should have accomplished? So how are we going to focus with somebody who has got a laser focus with boats on, with our leg on 4 or 5 different boats? So take up one area of your life that matters the most. Nothing else matters. And then what you will do, 100% focus. Now, when I say 100% focus, I did not say 24 hours of the day. All those 8 hours of the day that you focus, 6 to 8 hours, a laser focus of 100% of the time. Let's move ahead. Your future and my future depends on every single day that passes. That's why the future arrives at one day at a time. Now, you and I cannot become what we want by remaining what we are. If we are the caterpillar, you and I can never become the butterfly. The caterpillar never knows that its next stage is the butterfly, and the butterfly knows that my earliest stage was the caterpillar. It's very important to understand that you and I need to, we cannot do what we ought to do by remaining what we are. You don't get in life what you want. You get in life who you are, what I am, or who I am. So what we are. Next one is look at all the billionaire habits. One thing at a time. Focus. Total focus on one thing at a time. And if you and I are probably doing more than one thing at a time, then you and I cannot be focused. So it is very difficult to focus, to beat somebody who is exclusively focused on one thing. So that is why sometimes you and I question. He doesn't have the talent that I have. He's not blessed with as much of skills that I am blessed with. God has unconditionally, partially, blessed me. How is it that he is able to do a lot of things that I am not able to do? The reason is because focus. Time, I repeat once again, time management is all about managing your attention, managing your decisions, and the last one is managing your energy. Let's go ahead. You and I, all of us have got only 24 hours in the day. And those of us who focus on one particular thing, we win. And everybody else who focuses on multiple things usually loses. And they lose big time. And we don't even know where the time was got. That is why I like this beautiful statement. World class is so much about what you don't do rather than actually what you do. So what you don't do, I don't know if you've seen my company's logo. It's called Uncomplicate, and there is a small little subtitle which says, the noble art of leaving things undone. Means what? You can achieve a lot in life by leaving things undone as opposed to doing things. The whole idea of life, the beauty of life lies in knowing what to ignore and what to overlook. Now, you should not end up with a fight with your wife or your husband, because there are important things than that in life. That is why somebody beautifully said to all husbands, your wife does not want your ego. Your wife wants your money and security. Now, it applies to me as well. So, but very powerful, straight, but then very powerful. So world class is so much about what you don't do, rather than what you actually do. Here comes a fantastic statement for you. The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people almost say no to everything. Say no to almost everything. You call them to a party, you call them to a function, you call them to a meeting, you call them for a new venture, they say no. Why? Because they focused on one thing and making sure, like Byju's started with 2 lakh rupees of investment with his parents' money, and today, probably about 12 billion US dollars. What is 12 billion US dollars? Somewhere around 84,000 crores. More than that, probably about 90,000 crores today. Our own very Indian here, somebody who started with 2 lakhs, they almost say no to everything. A businessman, a successful entrepreneur, if you ask him 1 hour of his time, he will say, please take my arm or my leg, but please don't ask me for 1 hour of my time. I cannot give you my time. You ask me for anything else, I'll give you. So time is something extremely important. Of course, what you do with the time is also extremely important. Let's move ahead. I know this is very strong, but please, pay attention to this. People usually pay for what they do, and they also pay a heavy price for what they have allowed themselves to become. And how do you and I pay in life? We pay it very simply by the person that we have become and the lives that we lead. Somebody said, if you're successful, look at the mirror. If you're unsuccessful, also look at the mirror. I do understand that there are some people who've had some unfortunate incidents in life, but usually, like the way millionaires are self-made, destruction also in 90% of the cases are all self-made. Now, I have to agree in my case that whatever I am not today is because of me. So, the truth is always bitter, but it is very important to understand that you can always fix your life now. When do you think is the best time to fix the next 10 years? And the answer is now. When do you think is the best time to fix the next 20 years? Now. That is why they said, if you focus on now, NOW things, you reverse it, you've already won. So let's move ahead. So what you and I need to do, I'm going to go a little bit fast from here because I need to give you the 5 keys or the keys to productivity. Number 1, you and I need to invest all our goal on one important thing that matters. Now, I know all of us know this example. Take a jar, you take rock, pebbles, sand, and water. I take this rock. These are all the important things in my life, the important assignments that I have to do. Is the rock full? Is the jar full? No, the jar is still not full. It appears full, though it is not. Now, look at this. You've got all the important things in your life inside the jar. You've got your marriage. You've got the health of your kids, health of your parents, the important project works on your hand. You've got everything. Now, the jar is completely full, but then there is still space. Now, what happens is you can also now put in special education for your children, that additional school for your children, and that special skill or talent that you always wanted to actually work upon. So all these things, still there is space because you got the big things inside. And then now you have the sand. The sand are all the finer things in life. For example, a car for you, a car for your wife, that first floor construction at your home, and then buying another home, sending your child for a horse riding in a program, or probably extra coaching, swimming classes, etc. All these fine things, taking a vacation, etc. And then now you have time for socializing. You still have time for water. Look at it. You have time for your friends. You have time for your important events. You follow your traditions. You have time for rituals, honoring your values. Everything goes in. But all this happened only because you got the big rocks inside first. The moment the big rocks are not inside and you got the sand inside first for 30 years or 40 years, later on, it's almost impossible to get the rock or the pebbles inside, or even water inside for that matter. So get the big rocks inside, focus on things that actually matter. So there are 4 quadrants in life that you and I can actually find. Number 1, you and I can find ourselves doing all the things that are urgent and important. Let's talk about this quadrant. How do you get there, first of all? Now, usually, whatever we postpone, I have a question to ask you. How many of us postpone things in life? Probably if you're watching this, your hands are up, or at least in your mind, you say, yes, I do postpone hands. I do postpone things. Look at this. When I ask this question, how many of you postpone things in life? Some of us even postpone this question. Now, what you postpone actually comes to quadrant number 1, which is what? Urgent and important. And then the second quadrant, which is important but not urgent. For example, exercising. Very urgent? No, but very important. Taking a class like this, very urgent, no, but very important. Having a healthy relationship with your spouse and no arguments with your spouse, very urgent, but very important. So sending your child, making sure your eating habits are healthy, very urgent, no, but very important. Goal setting, very urgent, no, but very important. Look at this. The beauty is all those things that are important in life are never urgent. And then you have the 2 other quadrants, which is urgent but not important, and the last one, neither urgent nor important. I'll not talk about quadrant 3 and 4, but I'll explain what it is. Now look at it. Life actually lies in quadrant number 2, which is what? Important but not urgent. Now, let's look at this. Let's go further. How did you get into quadrant 1? For example, paying your electricity bill is only important. It is in quadrant 2. It is never urgent, but it became important because I neglected it. The due date is gone. The fuse is gone. The power is gone. Now I run behind the department. Now it has become urgent. I don't pay the LIC premium on time. It has become urgent now. What was important has become urgent because of negligence. That's why they said negligence starts out as an infection and then it goes on to become a disease. And when negligence becomes a disease, it becomes too difficult to control it later on. Let's look at this. Remaining in quadrant 2 is actually a conscious choice. Means what? you willfully, wantedly come into quadrant 2. Let's look at this. Quadrant 1 is the quadrant of necessity. Urgent and important is the quadrant of necessity. Means what? Crisis, emergency meetings, last minute deadlines, pressing problems, unforeseen events. But if you look at this, most of us arrive at quadrant 1 because of negligence. I do understand that some things don't tell you beforehand and emergency do crop up. Those things are fine. But in most cases, what happens, quadrant 1 is because of negligence largely. 50% of what you find in quadrant 1 is because of negligence. And then let's move ahead. The next one, the second quadrant is called as the quadrant of extraordinary productivity. Means what? High impact goals, creative thinking. What I simply love about here, this thing is prevention. That is something wonderful in quadrant 2. Which is not allowing something to slip from quadrant 2 to quadrant 3 or 2 or 1. And then quadrant 3, which is urgent but not important, means what? Somebody's priorities, doing work for somebody else. These are not your jobs at all, or needless interruptions, preparing unnecessary reports, irrelevant meetings. You attend every single meeting that is there on planet Earth. Now, the last one is what? Waste. It is also called as the quadrant of waste. What do you mean by quadrant number 4? This is neither urgent nor important, doing trivial work, avoiding excessive relaxation, watching television, etc. Some of you probably are busy with Dhoni's retirement. I don't even read the newspaper or watch the media. I don't even watch anything. Now you may ask me, but then how do you know what's happening outside? Don't worry, other people will tell you. And if it is negative, they will definitely find you, look for you and tell you. That's how the world is. You don't have to go through all those things. Most of us are worried during this coronavirus pandemic or COVID-19 pandemic that, oh my God, so many of them are dying. What the media is not projecting is this. The fatality rate or the death rate is somewhere around 1 to 2% or 1.5%. Means what? Out of every 100 people who are affected with COVID-19, 99 out of them, or at least 98 to be out of them, they scrape out of this particular thing safely. Now, but the media only focuses on the remaining 2%. Why are we not talking about the 98 of them who are 98% that is fine? So, and most of us are waiting for that particular day when we will again go back to the pre-corona era. There is something important to understand that you and I should get it today. There is no going back for you or me ever in life again. So going back to the normal is not going to happen. This is the new normal. If you and I are alive for the next 2 decades, we'll have to get adjusted to this new world that is coming up and align ourselves to this new world. So there's nothing called going back to the pre-corona era. So it is like waiting for the dinosaurs waiting for the ice age to go away. When the ice age came, what happened? All the dinosaurs, the big animals, they all perished. But all the small animals, what they did, they went inside and they probably locked themselves in caves. All the small creatures, they adapted themselves to the change. And those who did not adapt, they died or perished like the dinosaurs did. So let's go ahead. Now, how much time do you think you and I spend on all these things that are necessity, extraordinary productivity, distraction, and waste quadrants? Look at this. On quadrant number 1, which is important and urgent, we spend a whooping 27.6%. It can be reduced to just 8 or 9% or less than 10. Now, quadrant 2, we spend only 30%. And the quadrant 3, 23.6%, which is what? Other people's priorities, not important things in life. All the important things that are urgent but never important. They don't get you anywhere. And we spend a whooping 18% on those things that are not important. Look at this, nearly 41.5%. I'm being very modest here. We spend more on all those things that are unimportant. So let's probably go further because we are actually running out of time. Okay, you want me to go through the slide? Now, what do you think puts you in Q1 or Q3? How did we get there instead of getting into Q2? Most of us say, I do my best work under only pressure. Now, that's not a right way to actually be productive. Now, when there is no pressure, that is when you should get the work done. Next one is when you procrastinate. Now, waiting that there is tomorrow. Perfectionists always keep waiting, and there is nothing called being perfectionist. All right, next one. An important thing, God loves people who are perfectionists. So he calls them. So don't try to be too perfect, because God then loves you and me when we are perfect. Because perfect people are not found on planet Earth. They are somewhere up. Next one is when you become accommodators. When anything that comes the way, whichever way the wind sways, the wind flows, I actually sway. However the tide comes, I actually shift adjust my sail of the boat. So when you become accommodators, what happens is we get into Q1 or Q3. When we are afraid to say no, The difference between successful and unsuccessful people is, unsuccessful people say yes to almost everything, and successful people almost say no to everything. Now, this is something so powerful. Time is money. When I manage my time well, what happens is I am introduced to the world, like Sundar Pichai or Satya Nadella. The world gets to hear your story. But when I disregard time, when I disrespect time, or when I mismanage time, the world is introduced to you. So we now sit down and they start listening to how Dhoni's retirement thing is going on, what Tendulkar is doing in his life, and all the other success story, instead of scripting our own success story. Because when we have managed our own time, you are showcased to the world versus somebody's story being showcased to you and I. Now, I do understand that I also idolize several mentors. I've got several mentors. I don't go behind any mentor because every mentor comes in your life for a reason and for a season. But then it's important to understand that time is money. So every moment of time, whenever from today onwards, whatever comes your way, you have a moment of choice. The moment of choice that you and I have is this. First one is pause. You have a new objective or a new task coming your way. Number one, stop. Next one, clarify. Means what? Decide whether it is to be done or not to be done. And the next one is only and only if it adds value to your life, then you proceed. Otherwise, don't. So like the traffic signal, red, green, red or amber and green, red, orange and green. So wait, get ready, watch, and then proceed. Your moment of choice, clarify everything that comes in your way and go through everything and then finally decide what to do and what not to do. So here comes the last very important keys to you, the last 15 minutes that we have. Number one, the 5 choices to extraordinary productivity. Number one, how can you be productive? Number one is act on the important. Means what? It also means that don't react to what is urgent. Act on the important things and only on the important things, the things that truly matter. If something is not important, you will not take it up. Now, this morning, I know somebody was talking about how Dhoni's retirement and all those things. I said, do you know that Apple, for the first time in history, has touched a $2 trillion market capitalization today? And you know what? For the past 21 weeks, before this day that I'm talking, Apple has been profiting about $7 billion US per day. The profit that Apple has been getting is $7 billion US worldwide per day, not per month. So I'm more impressed by what Apple is doing versus what Dhoni is doing in his life. Because you want to be the next Steve Jobs. Of course, I'm not saying that you should get into his shoes. What I'm trying to say is you should be so successful that the world talks about you. And the world talks about your story. And wherever you see your voice, your name, and your face is splashed across all the digital media. And you should not have time to watch television. Please understand, those who watch television never come in television. And those who come in television never have the time to watch television. So the TV is also called as the idiot box. Now the box cannot be the idiot. So act on the important and never react to the urgent things. No reaction to the urgent. Only, focus on those things that are important. When Dhirubhai Ambani was alive, I still remind, I'm reminded of the statement, what he said. When Dhirubhai Ambani was alive, he said, one day we're going to capture the world. Reliance Industries will not just be into polymers and textiles and petroleum and all those things. We will be into digital era. We will be into computers. We will be into FMCG or fast-moving consumer goods. We will be into retail market. We will be into jewelry, footwear, communication, airlines, aviation, whatnot, construction. And tomorrow, mark my word, 20 years from now, if probably Reliance is into every industry in the world, it will not be a surprise. You know why? Because they only focus on those things that matter. I'm coming to that in the next point here. Don't settle for the ordinary, go for the extraordinary. Because there is no fun in being, leading an ordinary life, because the ordinary life does not get you anywhere. So there's no point in living a simple life. In living a simple life, the whole thing is going for the extraordinary. That can be as small as, for example, let us say you're buying a pair of shoes, and one pair of shoes costs you about 3,000. The other pair costs you 3,999. Now you might say, oh my God, 1,000 rupees extra. No, I would say take a look at it. In case the 999 shoe extra, which is 4,000 shoe, suppose if 3,999 shoe is a lot lighter, and if you stand in it or wear it for about 8 hours, still your the feet doesn't ache, I would say go for the 999 extra shoe. If there is a shirt that costs you about 4,000, another shirt costs you 4,400, but after 50 washes still the luster is there, I would say pay that 400-500 rupees extra. Go for that little extra. Make sure that you put quality in every single thing, right from your children's schooling to your health to whatever choices you make. Go for the extraordinary, and that little extra will change your life and my life. So always look for going for the extraordinary in everything. I'm trying to get a MacBook Pro. I'm a fan of Apple products. I use every product, most of them which are Apple. Now, currently, I do have Apple products, the one that I'm doing this right now, but then I want a high-end MacBook Pro, which is about 32 MB. Now, I'm just planning my budget, because that costs about roughly 3.5 lakhs. But once you get it, I don't know how many of you know this, we talk about dual core processor and quad core processor. Apple has got 48 core processor. 48 core. And you know how much GB? Not 4 GB, 8 GB, 128 GB RAM. It's called Mac Pro. It's not called MacBook, it's called Mac Pro. Comes like a suitcase. So I'm not asking you to spend much money, but I'm just trying to get this philosophy into your head that don't settle for the ordinary. Always look for the extraordinary in everything, and your life would be, far better than anybody else. The third one is always schedule the big rocks. Means what? Don't sort gravel. Means what do you mean by don't sort gravel? Don't look for the small things of the day. Look for all those things that actually make the major difference in your life. Pick up the big rocks of the day, complete that, avoid the temptation to clear the small jobs of the day first. So schedule the big rocks. The next one is you rule your technology, let the technology not rule you. I'm so fast, I understand, because that is how I speak. Every speaker has got his own way of speaking. And in my programs, what happens in my day or 8-hour program, those of them who attend my program, I'm so fast that we don't repeat anything. So you need to listen to this recording to clearly hear sometimes what I've said. Don't worry, you will also get a recording of whatever I've said. So you rule your technology. Don't trip over every beep, every Facebook message, every notification, every WhatsApp message, every Telegram message. You don't have to pounce on your telephone and nullify that message. You don't have to read every message. There is an interesting thing that I do. If you want to do it, you can also do that. I've got a lot of people on Facebook, because Facebook is my prime way of building business. If you look at it, now, the moment I actually accept a friend request, I unfollow them immediately, because I don't want to know what you are posting, because it's a personal relationship. Now, if it's a business relationship, I keep it active for some time. If it's a group, I get into groups so that they should know what I'm doing. I'll get some clients. But the moment I join a Facebook group, I mute myself and exit. I don't exit from the group. I just stay there. I don't get any notification from any group. I don't want any notification. So, of course, please don't unfollow me, because I'll be giving you some tips that will probably enhance your life. But I'm talking about the other ones in the world. The moment you actually, accept somebody's friend request, the best solution would be to unfollow them, so that you don't have to see all their holiday pictures and their family pictures and birthday cake. That's what your time is for. So you rule your technology, and don't allow technology to rule you ever. And the last one is fuel your fire. Means what? The energy of the mind is the essence of life. Now that there is a pandemic time, you and I should not probably sit and gobble up everything that is available at home. Make sure that you manage your weight. Make sure that you don't get into things that are not healthy. So what goes into your mouth? God has given a 3.5-inch organ called as the tongue. And to satisfy this tongue, we eat whatnot, and then we regret later. So it's important to understand that you fuel your fire and make sure that you don't burn out. That is exactly what I mean by this. So don't burn out, because once you have lost your energy and once you're burnt out, there is nothing else that you and I can do. So let's move on. Okay, I already said this. We already spoke about this: time, money, and energy. So what do you think is the most important thing? The most important thing is energy, which is what you should preserve. For example, 1 hour, we have a session from 7 to 8 today. The moment this session is over, I will go into Mauna Vratam. Means what? Absolute silence and stillness, and focus on those things that matter the most. I speak for 9 or 10 hours a day. After that, I don't speak to anyone. You know why? I'm gathering my energy for the next event or for the next set of thoughts. Energy is something extremely important. So you don't have to become old to understand that particular fact. So let's move on. There are 5 energy drivers that you and I should know. And post this, if somebody wants to probably communicate with me, I'll give you my email ID or my contact details as well. There are 5 energy drivers that you and I need to focus on, which will actually make your day. Now, so we spoke about the little known secrets. The little known secrets were this. The little known secrets were acting on the important, going for the extraordinary all the time, scheduling the big rocks and not paying attention to anything else. You know, Edison used to lock himself in a room, and then food used to be passed from below the slit or the small little opening under the door. And that's how he used to be there for days together, sitting on his invention and all the discoveries that he made. That's why he could come out with so many wonders of the universe and a lot of other things. So lock yourself up and mentally, and only schedule and have time for the big rocks in life. You rule your technology and let technology not rule you, and fuel your fire. These are the little known secrets. Though we know them, we don't practice them. Now, so we're trying to get it to the front burner. Now here comes it. Here comes the most important thing. The 5 energy drivers. Number 1 is moving. Means what? You should always exercise. The way you move your body alters the state of your mind. It's not the mind that controls the body, it is the body that controls the mind. Surprised? We'll talk about this in some other session. The way in which you move your body alters all the neurotoxins and chemicals in your mind. And the next one is eat. What you eat. You know, you have to be very careful on what goes into your mouth each day, and at least 7 to 8 hours of good sleep, and relax. When I say relax, time for yourself, time for rejuvenation, time for renewal, time for recovery. And the last one is connecting with the outside world, connecting with your family members, because relationships are everything. We are all social people, and we are all people-oriented people. So these 5 energy drivers, when applied every single day consciously, will change the very paradigm of your life. So I just want to end with a slide. So most of us are probably talking about all the other things that you will do one day. Successful people are already doing things while others are still talking about them. So let's not be one of them who will say that one day I will do those things. Let's do it now. I know what some of us are going to do after watching this. Not people on this call, but those of them who will get this recording tomorrow. The moment after this recording is over, they probably look at this. They're going to get back to the newspaper. They're going to get back to television. But I know that you are not one of them. Those of you who are there with me in this particular recording, you're not one of them, and you will make sure that, you will actually make things count and not leave those things that are important to the mercy of those things that are not important. I just want to end with this. If you want to connect with us more, you can also get onto our Facebook page, which is Rajesh Murthy Training Systems. And you can probably like and follow our page so that you get all the news feeds firsthand every day, or on LinkedIn, the professional network, or on Insta and Twitter and all the other social media platforms, or probably log on to our website, which is rajeshmurthy.com. So I once again appreciate Dr. Mahipati for being instrumental in arranging this particular session. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the screen share now, and I'm going to open up this particular session for a Q&A, a quick Q&A. And in case there is a Q&A session and some of you want to ask questions, probably, I'm not sure. We still have about 3 to 4, 5 minutes to handle these questions. It was wonderful talking to each one of you on this call. God bless. Look forward to seeing you soon in person. So appreciate each one of you, and thank you, Dr. Mahipati Garu. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Challa Supriya would like to ask you a query.
Good evening, sir. My name is Challa Supriya. The first thing which I liked in your session is your energy levels. Really incredible energy levels, sir. You were speaking continuously. And sir, can you hear me?
I can, madam.
Yeah, excellent energy level, sir. I'm really inspired by listening to your lecture, the session. It made me to come back, like even if once in a while I'm getting deviated, I was connected to the talk really because of your energy levels.
Thank you,
And one thing which I was thinking about was about focusing on one thing at a time. See, probably people usually say that we need to be a multitasker at this moment, like, when you see the world is so competitive and you can't focus on one thing at a time. You are supposed to be a multitasker. So what is your suggestion, sir? Do we need to be a multitasker, or do we have to focus on one thing at a time, and then once you're done with it, then you can go ahead with another one?
Brilliant question. I simply love this question. Jack of all trades and master of one. Jack of all trades and master of one. There is one or your niche area where nobody can probably beat you. You are unbeatable or indispensable in that particular area. You have mastered all the other skills as well, but focus on one thing that actually makes the difference. I always like to probably mention this. If you're in a business, or if you're in any kind of trade or any kind of profession, how do you think people in businesses expand? What they do is they focus all their time and money and resources on one particular business that actually pays dividends. And the moment this business is profitable, then they begin to expand and invest in other businesses. That's exactly how you and I probably also should be doing. So what you and I should be doing is focus on one area until that area pays off your life and you start reaping dividends and the fruit of your labor from that particular area. How do you judge a tree? You judge a tree not by the fruit that it talks about, but what it claims, but by the fruit that is hanging on the tree. So people only look at results that you and I have got. So what we need to do is focus on one area. Though the 21st century, as you rightly said, demands multiple skills in multiple area, being multidimensional. But if you look at, I simply love this question. Henry Ford was once taken to the court, the man who actually invented the first Model T car. He was taken to the court because they said Henry Ford does not know anything about the worldly knowledge and all the other things. So somebody actually put a case on him. And when he went to the court, the case was dismissed. Because you know why? Because Henry Ford said, whatever questions I want, whatever answers I seek, at a touch of a button, I've got people at my command who can give me the answers to all those questions. Why should I stuff my brain and pay rent to all those things that are not important? Let me focus on the things that really matter. So similarly, who is your best friend man today? Google. Anything that you want in life, you've got Google. So for everything else, you've got Google. For your niche and that craft that only you are good at, you have no one but you. So focus on the one thing that makes all the difference. Once you start profiting from it, you can also focus on other things. The next thing that I would like to talk about here is delegation. Learn to delegate a lot of things in your, what is delegation? Handing over of a work responsibility
to others.
And you being personally responsible for the results that come out of the delegation. That also we should complete, because you are responsible for whatever comes consequences. So you train them well, delegate everything in your personal life, in your professional life, and make sure that people are all around you. What's the best way to delegate? Nobody asked this question. Here's a tip for everybody who's watching this. One of the best ways to earn time in your life is get a full-time maid at your home. A 24/7 maid. I do understand that is not a professional answer, but then for your personal needs, it actually helps you so much that almost 80% of your time comes back the moment you've got a full-time help at your home. It is delegation can be as simple as that in your personal life. It can be delegating things to your wife, your children, your parents, and your hired help, secretary, whatever. So, madam, your question is answered probably. I'm probably...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm really delighted to listen from you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, focus on one thing that still it makes a difference, and then
you want us to focus on our niche.
Yes, on your niche.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. If anyone else has got any queries, you can raise your hand. We're getting a lot of, meanwhile, Mohan Chandra. Yeah, you can unmute and you can speak, Mohan Chandra.
Hello, Mr. Rajesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Mohan, please. Good evening.
Good evening. So I just wanted to know, I was curious, how do you balance these two? Like you said that when you add some friend on Facebook, you unfollow them. So how do you balance this thing between the relationships and your professional thing? Between social and professional?
Good question. Because most of these people whom we unfriend on Facebook are people who are also available on our WhatsApp. So, and occasionally we also end up talking to them. This question is actually a very deep question than it appears at the surface level. To some people, if you talk every day, that relationship can be kept alive. To some people, you talk to them once in 1 year or once in 2 years, you feel like you've just spoken to them yesterday. Now, the whole idea is trying to have a certain close knit relationships where you don't have to talk every day to make that relationship alive. I've got some people in Mumbai and other places where I talk to them once in 2 years and it appears to me as though I've just spoken yesterday to them. The relationship is so alive. So on your professional friend, now business page is important on Facebook or your personal profile is important. On my business page on Facebook, we have a lot of contacts. We don't unfriend anyone. Why? Because they, that's important. But on our personal page where personal activities are there we actually unfriend them because I want to focus my time on things that matter. So certain relationships can be kept alive through personal calls, through WhatsApp and other, devote some exclusive time, let us say about half an hour or 1 hour, and saying that this is the time that I'm going to spend on my with my friends or with my colleagues that matter. The rest of the time you actually focus on what really matters. And one more very important thing, always be in obscurity. Means what? Don't be visible. If you're not visible, then you are popular. Even in your friends, your family, your relatives, etc. Doctors are always, invisible. Why? Because they are naturally busy. They don't pretend to be busy. So they're so busy that they are naturally unavailable. And that is why all the limelight and spotlight actually gravitates on them when they arrive at a function or an event or somewhere. Those who are found all the time on social media. Good question. Beautiful question, Mohan Chandran. I would like to actually add one more thing here. For example, many of us are busy on Quora, on Facebook, and so many of us answer other people's dilemmas and answer other people's questions, etc. Have you ever seen Mark Zuckerberg or Narayan Murthy or Ratan Tata answering your question? Have you seen Amitabh Bachchan, forget Twitter, that is for celebrities mostly, but then have you seen busy people like Gautam Adani replying to your question, saying that, oh, you are under stress, this is what you should do to solve this problem. They don't have time at the end of the day. They are so busy solving something called as a world problem, a global problem, that they don't have time to pay attention to all the small things in life. However, you should always balance. You should also have the relationship going healthily. So we'll talk about that. Since I know you personally, Mohan, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So busy people don't answer anybody's questions. That's a brilliant way of actually looking at it. You don't get these people on Quora and Facebook and all those other platforms. They're not available. Even in LinkedIn, if you want to probably send a request to, let us say, a very important person. Let us say you want to, on Facebook, you want to friend Ambani, or on LinkedIn, you want Gautam Adani to be your friend. That request will not be accepted at all, because they don't have time to actually spend on these things. They've got time to focus on bigger things, on how to get another Australian coal mine. How do I make sure that I extract coal from Australia and make sure our country's GDP goes up? So there are bigger things to actually work on. But the question is very beautiful.
Yeah, sometimes social relationships give you some business leads, whereas business relationships are purely business. So I mean, social relationships sometimes may give you business leads, and it may lead to some good personal relationships also.
Beautiful. The answer lies in the question itself. The word sometimes is where the problem lies. I go into an Apple store not because I like Steve Jobs. I buy a high-end Apple product not because I like the salesman or I have a relationship with them. When you know how to build value, people will pay you for your value, because sales and marketing business is all about values, not our value, but other people's values. Where there is a value match, people will buy. When the iPhone 1 was released, what happened was, Steve Ballmer, the Microsoft CEO back then, not Satya Nadella, back then Microsoft CEO, he laughed at Steve Jobs. An iPhone worth $200, who's going to buy? But on day one, they made about $10 million. But then iPhone 1, of course, is iPhone 11, 12 today. So when you know how to solve other people's problems and add value to the marketplace day in and day out, relationship comes later. Business comes first, relationship comes later. When you have a business relationship with somebody, automatically the next relationship develops. I always look at it that way. Develop something so good for mankind that people will beat a door to your pathway to your door and wait for you in queue to probably gain a relationship with you. So you become so invaluable by focusing on your niche that you become a magnet that draws people to you. So we'll talk about this in some other session when the time is appropriate. Over to Mahipati, sir.
Thank you, Rajesh Murthy sir, for the wonderful answer. Anyone else have any last question? We'll take last query. Anyone else? Any query? Last query?
But brilliant questions, I should say.
Yes, sir. Most of the times now, you shared the most. Yeah, Vishnuvandana ma'am, please go ahead. Unmute your microphone. Yeah. Unmute your video also, madam. You can speak. Vishnuvandana ma'am. You're not audible, ma'am. You need to unmute your microphone.
Probably we'll go to the next one in case somebody else is waiting, sir. In the meantime.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Ma'am, you're not audible. You can text the question in the chat box so that we'll go ahead with that. Yeah, you can text in the chat box so that I'll ask the same first query.
Or in the YouTube, when the recording is live, when the recording is tomorrow put broadcast there, they can always ask this question and I can personally answer their question there.
Sure. That's great. That's great. Thank you so much, sir. And before we request Chandrasekhar, corporate trainer, to propose vote of thanks, I'd like to read out few comments which have come on the YouTube too, so that the people who are watching on the YouTube also know what are the areas that they need to focus and how you shared with them also. And Jayalakshmi Suranarana says it was a great session, sir. Mahipati Gayatri says it's a wonderful session. And Harita Nandri says, very true, energy of mind is enormous. Mahesh Murthy, well said, time is life, sir. Radhakrishna says, the power of now is great. No, I like the statement, power of now. Suranayan says, true, sir, no one is perfect. Suranayan says. And also very nice presentation, Rajesh Murthy, best wishes, Suryanarana says. And Mahipati Gayatri, psychologist, says, extraordinary session, sir, very helpful, thank you so much. Radhakrishna says, excellent session, it is informative and motivating. Nandu says, thank you, sir, for a wonderful session that you made it happen. We also have got a lot of compliments from the Zoom also. Mohan Chandra says, very absorbing and gripping session. Vishnuvandana says, no, wonderful session, sir. Everything looks priority and any technique to identify priorities. Okay. This is a question, sir. Vishnuvandana was not able to get connected to audio. So we'd like to say that for her, everything seems to be priority. So any techniques are there to identify the priority? That's what the question that she asked.
Good question. The best way a drop of ink actually makes millions think. The best way to actually identify your priority is write it down. Identify only 3 things that will make 80% of the difference in your day. The rest of it, you let go. Everything cannot be a priority. If everything is a priority, that means then I'm the atlas holding the sky, or I feel like the last hair of straw that broke the camel's back. So everything cannot be a priority. At the most, what you can do is you can have 3 things as a priority to be done every single day. There is a brilliant method to actually identify your priority. The way you can identify your priority is take out 24 hours of the day, and what you do is only for the next 1 week, it's a brilliant exercise, mark 1 hour columns there and identify where your 1 hour goes, and track every 1 hour you will go, and then except when you're sleeping in the night, other time what you will do, 1 hour later you will go and write in that particular thing what you did in the last 1 hour. What did you do 1 hour ago? What did you do 1 hour ago? You will become wise. And another method is, there is something called time inventory. Write down 3 or 5 important things to be done today, and unless and until this thing is done, don't go ahead with the next day's job. Sleep on this list. Means what? Put the list and sleep on it? No. What you will do is you will complete this task, and upon completion of this task, then you will pick up the nasty job that is still pending from the previous day, bang that nasty and compelling job, and then take on the next day's job, because the previous day's important job left behind will cause a lot of guilt. So, look at all those things that are, another way to answer this question is, look at all those things that are in quadrant 1, important and urgent. Clear quadrant 1 first, and then get to quadrant 2. When you start working on quadrant 2, you will find now very few things actually slip from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1. So it's not going to happen today, because there's a lot of pending baggage to be cleared. But if you can do quadrant 1 things first and clear away all those things, you cannot have like 30,000 emails in your inbox. You can have at the most probably about 30 emails that are important. You cannot have everybody on your, talking to you whole day and disturbing you. So lock yourself in a room, and if it is probably allowed. So it's important to understand that we devise our own methods to handle our telephone calls, visitor interruptions, people's interruptions, other things, other interruptions, etc. It's more than 2 years now that I watch television. It's more than 2 years since I've touched that morning newspaper every single day. But I know what's happening because other people tell you, because that is their business. You see Facebook niche, I was talking about it. So you prioritize your life so well that you focus 100 thing or 100% on one thing. And one more thing is be a finisher. Whatever job you take, finish that important job. One job finished 100% is better than 100 jobs started but left unfinished. So in life, learn to be a finisher for whatever you start. And that's another brilliant method. Take out an important job, finish it, and then go to the next day's job. So write it down. Trap everything on a paper, mark 1 hour columns, and then know where your time goes. When you see where your time has gone and what is really quadrant 2 activity in that, tick only quadrant 2 activities, you will become very wise, and you will probably, that will act as a blind view mirror or a rear view mirror. And that will help you to progress ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful activity that makes us to know what are our priorities and how are we spending the time also. We know about the time. And there's one more query from Salim, sir. How to enter niche?
How to identify your niche? Beautiful. There is something called what has worked for you in your life in the past. We call that as before and after. Your own story can become your niche. Now, what you'll have to do is that you'll have to go into something called as your remembering room. I'm not sure how many of you know this. The remembering room is you are transported in your mind to a room where you look back at your own success and identify what has actually given you breakthroughs in life. Which is that one thing that you can uniquely do that people have appreciated you for in the past, that where you got results and breakthrough. And that usually is your niche. Now, you can also have more than one niche, but then what happens is then you will get confused. Identify one niche where you've got breakthroughs in terms of time, in terms of recognition, in terms of testimonials, in terms of your own satisfaction of helping others with what you have. And usually that is your niche. Now, I cannot tell what is your niche, Mr. Salim, but you know what is your niche based on your own before and after. What is before and after? What you were before the caterpillar, and when you became a butterfly, version 2.0, iPhone 12 to iPhone 1 to 12, what will happen is, you know that metamorphosis when you went through, what is that thing that you are very good at? Now, you look at it, if you look at iPhone 11, there is a bit of iPhone 1 in iPhone 1, 2, 3, in all those 12 iPhones. There's a bit of iPhone 1 in everything. So there'll be a bit of you in everything. But the whole idea is to understand is, you go get back to your own remembering room, identify where you've got a breakthrough in your life, write it down, because the pen and paper are the most beautiful tools ever invented to create anything, to craft anything. And that's the way you identify your niche. Maybe tomorrow and down the line, we will have an exclusive niche identification session on how do you spot your niche? How do you work on your niche? How do you project yourself? How do you project your niche to the outside world? But for now, your niche is something that you're so good at, like Michael Jordan, like Michael Jackson, or like Sachin Tendulkar. You have identified that so well by writing down, getting back to your own remembering room, going back through your own story and visualizing, verbalizing, and then vitalizing that particular thing that you had, identifying your breakthroughs, and then recreating that again in your life. We will talk about that. Since I know you personally also, Salim sir, we can always talk on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajesh sir. Hemalata Tala says, wonderful session, sir, extraordinary session. And Bhavani also says, awesome session, sir. Thank you so much. Gurucharan Kocharla, he says, excellent session and also apt answers. Mohan Chandra says, thanks a lot. Appreciate your time, sir. Usnanda says, nice session, sir. Maipal says, wonderful session, sir. And Nishad says, it was a great session, sir. You have said many points in a limited time, sir. And your energy level is same from starting to ending. Ending point of this webinar, sir. That's awesome. Mind-blowing session, sir. Mohan Chandra says, mind-blowing session, sir. Excellent and wonderful session, sir. Thank you very much, Gurucharan. So you got a lot many compliments, sir. Like, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. And I now request the Chandrasekhar corporate trainer to propose vote of thanks.
Yeah. But before that, I'm actually humbled by all those people who said all those words in that particular comments. I appreciate each one of you. I thank you for being with us. And I'm again touched by whatever feedback and testimonials that you've given. Truly, it makes a lot. It means a lot. Thank you so much once again. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Chandrasekhar can go ahead. Chandrasekhar, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everybody over there. Mr. Rajesh Murthy ji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was a wonderful session, sir. Let me be a bit elaborated here. When first I heard about your title, "Little Known Secrets to Extraordinary Productivity," I had sort of doubt what it leads to and what it means. But later on, when you started the session, at the first go, we know many things, but we don't actually put into practice. That was what gave me a real clarity on that. And after that, you mentioned n number of things, which gave me a lot of clarity. At a point of time, I found you being a bit hasty, like going fast, and I raised my hand for asking you to repeat the tagline words, or maybe every now and then. But it was I was not given opportunity, and later on I understood how visionary and how crystal clear you were in planning for this 1 hour. And at the same time, I would like to say this: it's not just to get impressed that I'm going to express my views, sir. And I would like to speak my heart out. And I think the way you interacted with us, you are more like a man of action rather than a man of words, or maybe giving importance for appreciations. But as a part of my duty, as a vote of thanks, I would like to be clear in giving you the appreciations. Because you mentioned many things over here, uh, the way you handle the queries also, the energy levels, as many of our participants already spoke, like the energy was dynamic throughout the session. The energy, in fact, went on rising. The way you handle the queries actually, enlightened us more. They show how vastly experienced you are, and how clear you had the clarity on your subject that you taught. And then there are n number of things that I can mention. The best example that I can give you about uh, the paradigm, prioritization quadrant. Many people have taught us, but you taught us the time factor in a crystal clear way, where the time is spent and which quadrant takes most of the time or whatever. And that impressed us a lot. And there are a number of things that I can speak and bring to your notice. You have been very assertive and at the same time very dynamic. Wonderful session, sir. Kudos to you. And I'm sure the last compliment that I would like to give you is I being a trainer, a corporate freelance corporate trainer and a motivator, I'm sure I can take you as one of my role models, and I can look up to you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Mr. Srinivas, and looking forward for many more sessions where we can churn in a lot of valuable information from you, sir. Thank you for the valuable session, Mr. Rajesh Murthy, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chandrasekhar, for proposing vote of thanks. Nandu on the YouTube, 3 comments. I'll read those comments and then try to end up the session. The concept of remembering room is very helpful for us to introspect our niche. Looking forward for the exclusive session on niche. Ramchandran says very good presentation. The main thing I like was who watch TV will not coming on TV, and people who will not watch will always be on TV. That's what he shared. And thank you very much, everyone, for your active participation, especially Rajesh Murthy sir for making your time. I thank everyone. Thank you, Vishwandra ma'am, Maipal, and Challa Supriya ma'am, Salim sir, Bhavani ma'am, Emlata ma'am, and Mohan Chitra. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.